She said, "If you don't like me hanging out with my ex, then maybe you should find someone else." I said, "Maybe I will." A month later, she walked into a restaurant holding his hand, and froze when she saw who I was having dinner with. I'm Marcus, 31, and I spent 2 years with someone who made me feel like I was crazy for having boundaries. Her name was Jessica, 29, and for the first year, everything was perfect. We met through work, different companies, same industry conference. She was confident, quick-witted, had this energy that pulled you in. We moved in together after 10 months, started talking about engagement around the 1.5 year mark. Then her ex-boyfriend came back into the picture. His name was Tyler. They dated for 4 years in their early 20s, broke up when he moved to Seattle for work. According to Jessica, they'd stayed friendly, but hadn't talked much in years. That changed last February when he moved back to town for a new job. Suddenly, his name was coming up constantly. Tyler texted her a funny meme. Tyler invited her to check out this new brewery. Tyler needed advice about his apartment search. At first, I tried to be cool about it. I'm not the jealous type. I've had exes I'm friendly with. I get that some people can maintain those connections, but there was something about the way Jessica talked about him, the way her whole face would light up when his name appeared on her phone, the way she'd sometimes compare things I did to things he used to do. 3 months ago, it came to a head. Jessica told me she was meeting Tyler for lunch on a Saturday. I asked if I could come along, maybe finally meet this guy who was suddenly such a big part of her life. She looked at me like I'd suggested something insane. "Why would you need to come?" "It's just lunch." "I just thought it might be nice to meet him. You talk about him a lot." "Marcus, don't be weird about this. He's my friend. I'm allowed to have friends." "I didn't say you weren't. I just think it's reasonable that I'd want to meet someone you're spending this much time with." She sighed, that particular sigh that made me feel like I was being difficult. "If you don't trust me, just say it." "It's not about trust. It's about boundaries. You're having lunch dates with your ex-boyfriend multiple times a week. You're texting him constantly. Last week you canceled our dinner plans because he needed help moving furniture. He didn't have anyone else to ask. He has other friends, Jessica, and I'm supposed to be your priority sometimes." The conversation spiraled from there. She accused me of being controlling. I pointed out that I'd never asked her to stop seeing him, just to include me, or at least acknowledge that the situation was unusual. She said I was insecure. I said I was being reasonable. Finally, she stood up from the couch, grabbed her purse, and said, "If you don't like me hanging out with my ex, then maybe you should find someone else." I looked at her for a long moment. Something in me just clicked. I was tired of feeling like the bad guy for having feelings, tired of being made to feel unreasonable for wanting to be treated like I mattered. "Maybe I will," I said quietly. She blinked. "What?" "You heard me. Maybe I will find someone else, someone who doesn't make me feel crazy for wanting basic respect." "You're seriously doing this right now? Over lunch with a friend?" "No, I'm doing this because you just told me to find someone else. So I'm taking your advice." I grabbed my keys and left. Stayed at my buddy Kevin's place that night. When I came back the next day to pack, Jessica was crying, apologizing, saying she didn't mean it. But I was done. I'd meant what I said. I moved out over the following week, found a temporary sublet, and started the process of untangling our lives. She texted constantly for the first 2 weeks, called my friends, my sister, even my mom. Everyone got the same story. She'd made a mistake. She wanted to work it out. I was being stubborn. My mom, to her credit, told her that maybe I needed space and she should respect that. After about 3 weeks, the texts slowed down, then stopped. I assumed she'd finally accepted it was over. Update 1. About 2 weeks after Jessica stopped reaching out, I got a message from her best friend, Lauren. We'd always gotten along well, and she'd been weirdly quiet since the breakup. "Hey Marcus, I know this isn't my business, but I thought you should know. Jessica's been seeing Tyler, like, officially. It started maybe a week after you moved out. I stared at that message for a solid 5 minutes. 1 week. 1 week after 2 years together, she was with the guy she'd sworn was just a friend. The guy I was supposed to trust completely. I typed back, "Thanks for telling me. I appreciate you looking out. I'm really sorry. For what it's worth, I think she's making a massive mistake. You were good to her." I didn't respond to that. What was there to say? Here's the thing, though. I wasn't as devastated as I thought I'd be. Angry? Sure. Vindicated that my instincts had been right? Absolutely. But heartbroken? Not really. Somewhere in the last month of our relationship, I'd already started grieving it. This just confirmed what I'd already known. She'd checked out long before I did. I threw myself into work, started going to the gym more, reconnected with friends I'd neglected. Kevin convinced me to join his recreational basketball league. I wasn't trying to get over Jessica by replacing her. I was just trying to remember who I was before I spent so much energy managing her emotions. Then I met Allison. She was Kevin's girlfriend's co-worker, and they'd been trying to set us up for weeks. I finally agreed to a group dinner, no pressure, just meeting new people. Allison was 33, worked in nonprofit development, had this quiet confidence that was the complete opposite of Jessica's need to be the center of attention. We talked for 3 hours. She made me laugh. I made her laugh. It felt easy. We started seeing each other casually. Coffee dates, walks around the park, a movie here and there. Nothing serious, but something real was starting to develop. She knew about Jessica, knew I was coming out of something complicated. She didn't push, didn't ask for labels or promises. She just enjoyed spending time together. About 3 weeks into seeing Allison, I decided to take her to this Italian restaurant downtown that I loved. It was a Friday night, early March, still cold enough that everyone was bundled up when they came through the door. We were halfway through dinner, laughing about something stupid from her workday, when Allison's expression changed. She was looking past me toward the entrance. "Is that your ex?" she asked quietly. I turned around. Jessica was standing in the doorway with Tyler. His hand was on her lower back, guiding her toward the host stand. She was wearing the black dress she'd always said was her special occasion dress, the one she'd worn to my company holiday party last year. And then she saw me. Update 2. The look on Jessica's face was something I'll never forget. It went through about 5 emotions in 3 seconds. Surprise, confusion, recognition of Allison, then something between anger and hurt. Tyler noticed her freeze and followed her gaze to our table. He looked uncomfortable immediately, which told me everything I needed to know about how much Jessica had talked about me. I gave a polite nod, nothing dramatic, and turned back to Allison. "Yeah, that's her." Allison handled it like a champion. She didn't make a scene, didn't give Jessica the satisfaction of seeing her rattled. She just smiled and said, "She's pretty. Bad taste in who to date after you, but pretty." I laughed despite myself. We tried to continue our dinner, but I could feel Jessica's eyes burning into the back of my head. The host had seated them 3 tables away in my direct line of sight if I looked past Allison. I deliberately kept my focus on my date. About 10 minutes later, Jessica got up. I thought she was heading to the bathroom, but instead, she walked straight to our table. "Marcus. Hi." Her voice was tight, controlled. "Jessica, hey," I kept my tone neutral. "I didn't know you'd be here. It's a public restaurant. I come here sometimes." She glanced at Allison, then back to me. "Aren't you going to introduce me?" There was a challenge in her voice, something that said she expected me to be awkward, to fumble, to show that this moment bothered me. "Jessica, this is Allison. Allison, this is Jessica, my ex-girlfriend." Allison extended her hand. "Nice to meet you." Jessica shook it, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "You too." I didn't realize Marcus was seeing anyone. It's been a month, I said simply. I'm allowed to see people. Of course. Of course you are. She laughed, but it sounded forced. I just thought, I don't know what I thought. Tyler appeared behind her, looking deeply uncomfortable. Jess, our table's ready. She ignored him. You look good, Marcus. Happy. I am. I hope you are too. I am. Tyler and I were really good. It's easy, you know. No drama, no fighting about stupid things. Allison cleared her throat softly. I realized Jessica was trying to hurt me, to make me feel like I'd been the problem all along. That's great, I said. I'm glad you found what you were looking for. Truly. But we're in the middle of dinner, so... Jessica's face flushed. Right. Of course. Enjoy your meal. She walked back to Tyler, and I watched them have a tense, whispered conversation before finally sitting down. For the rest of our meal, I could see Jessica picking at her food, barely eating, while Tyler tried to engage her in conversation. Allison reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You okay? Yeah. Actually, I really am. We finished our dinner, I paid the check, and we left. As we walked past Jessica's table, I didn't look over, didn't acknowledge them, just kept walking with Allison's hand in mine. Final update. That was 6 weeks ago. Since then, a lot has happened. Lauren texted me about a week after the restaurant encounter. Apparently, Jessica had a breakdown that night. She'd accused Tyler of not defending her, of letting me embarrass her. They'd gotten in a massive fight in the parking lot. Lauren said Jessica had been calling her constantly, obsessing over the fact that I'd moved on, that I looked happy, that Allison was pretty and seemed confident. She keeps saying she thought you'd come back, Lauren wrote. She thought you'd realize you were being stubborn and apologize. She's losing it that you actually moved on. I didn't respond with anything substantive, just, that's not my problem anymore. 2 weeks later, Jessica texted me at 11 p.m., a long, rambling message about how seeing me had made her realize she'd made a mistake. How Tyler was nice, but he wasn't me. How she'd been scared of commitment and self-sabotaged. How she wanted to try again. I read it twice, then showed it to Allison. We'd gotten serious enough by that point that I wanted her to know what was happening. What do you want to do? She asked. Nothing. I want to do nothing. Is that okay? She smiled. More than okay. I didn't respond to Jessica's text. 3 days later, she sent another one. I see you read it. You can't even give me the respect of a response? This time, I did reply. Jessica, I have nothing to say. You made your choice. I made mine. I hope Tyler makes you happy. Please stop contacting me. She didn't text again. Kevin told me last week that he ran into Tyler at a bar. They'd chatted briefly, and Tyler had mentioned that he and Jessica broke up. Something about her still being hung up on her ex. Kevin didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask him to. As for me and Allison, we're still together. It's been 3 months now, and it's different from anything I had with Jessica. There's no drama, no games, no wondering if I'm enough. Allison treats me like a priority without me having to beg for it. She includes me in her life naturally. She doesn't make me feel crazy for having basic expectations. We're taking a trip to Portland next month. Her idea. She found this little bed and breakfast, made a whole itinerary of food spots and hiking trails. When she told me about it, she was excited to share it with me, not just excited about the trip itself. That's the difference. With Jessica, I always felt like I was fighting for space in her life. With Allison, I'm already there. Edit 1. People keep asking if I think Jessica actually loved Tyler or if she was just trying to prove something. Honestly, I think she loved the idea of being desired by 2 people at once. She wanted me to fight for her while keeping Tyler as backup. When I didn't play that game, it broke her narrative. Edit 2. Yes, Allison knows about this post. She thinks it's healthy that I processed everything by writing it out. She also said, and I quote, "I'm glad she was dumb enough to lose you so I could find you. I'm keeping her."